Andreas, your video is called Lass uns Freunde bleiben, Let's Stay Friends, named after your favorite cafe bar in Berlin. Tell us about that place. What's the feeling, the atmosphere? What are the people like? And when and how did you realize you wanted to make this work about it?
Yeah, Lass uns Freunde bleiben. Let's Stay Friends is in a special corner in Berlin. Actually, I like the place next to it, meanwhile, more because the coffee is better, but the atmosphere is there also better. But I go there sometimes, not every morning anymore in Lass uns Freunde bleiben like I used to in that time when I made that film. And it has a special architecture, so it's split in different rooms. So you have a smoker room in the back with a window, and then you have a room where you can sit, and then you have a big, nice bar place and huge windows out. And one day I was standing there and I discovered the whole line through all these rooms and looked out of the window. And on the other side of the street, there's also a window. And suddenly I had this idea, oh, I make a whole movement in this window, and what is when you can go in the reflection, what do you have to do? And then I had this idea, and then the whole film came up to my mind.
The two most astounding aspects of the video are A, the fact that the visuals look like a tracking shot through the bar, but are actually a photo montage. And the other aspect is that the audio is this cacophonous soundscape of conversations um, that you really want to join. So, how did you weave these audio visual choices together?
So these photo montage films I make since quite a long time. So like and there I discovered that you can, like, I zoom into photos, like my first films, I zoom into photos endlessly, that I increase the resolution in the middle of the photo. So I go myself, when I make the photo montage, I go in the photo, or at first I take a wide angle, then a zoom, and for the rest in the middle, like in Adalbertstraße, which is a long street, I went then the 2 kilometers in and photographed all the houses in the very back and put them into this photo. So I have a super high resolution in the middle, in the rest not, because I zoom in or out, and then I don't need it anymore. But when I'm in, I need a good resolution, and that's all this trick of this movements. It's not a movement; it's a zoom. So I changed that, but in the end, in a movement, in a shift, in the end you're at the same place as in a zoom. Only the way to it looks different. And in these films, I went a bit more complicated. I cut off windows in holes in my photo montage, so I can go through a photo. I enlarged the first photo montage faster than all the others behind. So it seems to be like a real going through a room, but I only go through a hole in the photo. And like that, and this Lass uns Freunde bleiben was the first time I made that with people. So video parts I inserted in the film before already, with a tree in the back which was blowing in the wind, and there I inserted a lot of small films. So it was a one-day act to make that film. I invited all the people who played in the film, in the movie, and then in the end they sit all in the cafe. But I told them to come one by one, or the groups should come one by one. I have different groups, right and left and right and left and right. In total, maybe seven takes, and then in the end I put them all together, but they were actually only one by one. And then I had the problem that they were not actors, and I didn't pay anything, and so I couldn't ask them to learn the text. And then after we made the shot, I said, just do like you talk, just do something, and just pretend you talk. And then they should go in the back room, and then they should just read the text as an off voice. Because I thought when they're all together, melted together, uh, it doesn't. It's not so necessary that it's lip synchron or anything. It's so it's like the text audio file is completely separated from the what happens there.
Yeah, because you obviously then recorded the audio completely separately
Yeah,
because you described it's photo based, but it is scripted and and staged, so to speak,
yeah,
right? It
yeah.
looks natural, looks like, oh yeah, people hanging out in a cafe, but of course that's the artistic staging. And you
It's
wrote the text, and part of it are improvised, or how did
no,
that
it's not improvised at all because they
at
had to
all?
read the text. So I put to every group, and there are no dialogues in the group, so there are only monologues. So only one is talking to the others. So in each group, it's always it's a monologue, and I and it's like written by me, and it's about art, it's about life, it's about what what was interested in that time to me, like what is happening in the art scene. There was the Berlin Biennale with the this the curator team was a special curator team which inserted all this post-internet wave, and so I was a bit skeptical there. And then yeah, it's a bit like a skeptical text is about time, life, organization, getting old also. What does that mean? So this is also a bit connected then to the title, Let Us Stay Friends. So they were all talking about that. And the second part is very silent because then my idea was like, then during the daylight, you can look out of the window. In the night, you can look into the window from the other side because inside it's brighter than outside. So my whole shift was going during the day out of the cafe to the other side, and then you can't look in the other window on the other side, and then you go in the reflection, and then it's getting dark very fast. So this was a hard montage to have both, like the day and the night should be the same photo montage, and it's like all these wide angle outside shots. It's a huge montage with all the houses in the right place, and I had to do this twice with during the day and during the night, so I can overlap it and so I can fade in 10 seconds or 5 seconds from day to night. And then you enter this bar in the night, and you see only me at the bar with one guy, and we're talking about Alterswerk, which is like the in the artist's life, the late work of artists. And I said, late works are mostly very weak.
You're not there
they're
yet,
over, they're
so
overjudged. Everybody is saying that something like wisdom is coming, but it's all only repetition.
you've pointed at it, Andreas, but your work deals with the manipulation of space and time. Are those aesthetic shifts foremost a formal experiment for you, or is the narrative or emotional effect paramount?
Um, yeah, space and time is that what we have, and we can shift our body through that. That's all we have. So it's kind of equal amount for everyone, or for the rich and the poor. So that's what we have. We can shift our bodies through space and time. So that's an interesting thing about perception. What is interesting for me, how we perceive the world out of our two eyes, shifting through this space and time. And this is, I'm not a very narrative guy, so I'm not like but sometimes I am. So this is why I add these small stories inside. But for a long-term story, I don't have the patience. So my interest is more formal about perception, how this is, what is like, how can I shift a bit, and how can I make the people think a bit different about space and time. And then sometimes I add funny aspects and stories inside. So like that. It's like the narrative is more like a secondary thing which comes sometimes. But because I write also, but I would never write a novel and write all the details. This I will fall asleep about like adding all the details of the room or something. No.
Dankeschön. Danke, Andreas. Danke für die Arbeit und das Interview.
Ja.